Hello and welcome to the Yo Yarn Girl podcast. My name is Lisa and I'm coming to you from the Denver, Colorado area where I live with my family. Today is October 7th and I have a couple of finished objects and then some whips, and then we'll talk about future knitting and some of my favorite needles that I like to use. So without further ado, we'll get started. My first finished object is my mohair ascot. This is a pattern by Christy Archer Designs, and this was a test knit that I did for her. Really, really love this. Everyone knows that ascot's all the craze for this fall, and there's a hashtag out there on Instagram of how to use ascot. Caddy Jacks Knits, they have a great podcast and they're just so funny anyways, but it's all about you ask Scott, I ask Scott, what about my Ascot? So it's a really, really cute podcast, but they started kind of this craze or the hashtag over on Instagram, and so everyone's kind of getting in. This pattern should be up by the time this podcast airs. It's, like I said, it's a new pattern by Christy Archer. There's another pattern out there that a lot of folks are knitting, which Caddy Jacks Knits featured on their podcast, and that's the Petite Knits Ascot. That's a garter stitch ascot. This is a stockinette stitch, and so it's, and it's mohair. So I will take this off to show you. But really, really love this. It was a very quick knit up. This was a test knit. And of course I chose to do mine in purple. It's a fingering weight by Expression Fiber Arts, and then I just used some mohair from Knit Picks, the Aloft, in their eggplant colorway. This is done up on a US size 7 4.5 millimeter needle, so it knits up fairly quickly. It would make great gifts. Just, putting that out there for those of us that want to get some holiday knitting done. This would make great gifts. And if the recipient that you're knitting for, if it's not for you, because, the gift could be for you, and you're not sure if mohair is an option for them, you can always just do this in a DK weight yarn, and that would be fine too. It would knit up fine. So, but yeah, really, really like this. And the colors are beautiful. I would like to do one in a red fingering with maybe a gold mohair, or vice versa, a gold fingering with a red mohair. I think that would be really, really great to have going into the holiday season. I'd like to have 2 or 3 of these with just a very classic plain black sweater. I think these look great. So you should really check out this pattern. And she talks about this in her, Christy Archer just uploaded a podcast where she actually gave me a really nice shout out. And I really love her. I don't know, there's just something about our personalities. We really mesh. And she does talk about this. She just has put out a winter box, and it's got some yarn and a project bag and a pattern. So go check that out on her website. That's going to be something that we'll be able to knit with her, or knit along with her for the Advent season. So that's actually it looks like it's really fun. I already got mine, so purchase yours and we can all knit along for the Advent season. So my last finished object here is also by Christy Archer Designs. And this is her Simply Irresistible worsted version sock. She has this also in a fingering weight. I had one of these done in my last podcast, and now they are both finished. And so I've got a finished pair. Really, really like this. It knit up very quickly because it's worsted weight. Again, great gift knit. You can use all different types of colors and combinations. I did this one as kind of just, would be fun to have on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve night as you're watching movies with the family. I would have on my Christmas socks. So I will probably, and I think I said I was going to do this pair for my daughter. I will probably do a pair for me so that we have matching just for the holiday. And then I'll do some other worsted ones for the boys. So maybe not in green and red, but maybe we'll see. And but really, really like this knit. So check out the pattern. Get some on the needles. I have a second pair on the needles, which I will show when I get to my whips. So Simply Irresistible Socks by Christy Archer Designs. And this is also done on a, I want to say it's a US, it's a US 4. So again, knits up very, very quickly. But yeah, check that out. You will not be disappointed. So, and moving into whips. So my first whip is another pair of Simply Irresistible socks. And this is being knit in a Chick That Knits. This is the same color that I used on my other pair. And then this is also by a Chick That Knits, this yarn, and it's called Sherbert. And I do really, really like her yarn. The color is probably not the color I would use necessarily for the winter, but I just thought this was kind of fun. So I am going to continue with that color. So that's my second pair on the needles. I'll probably have those done before the weekend is over. So super excited about those. So continuing on, my next work in progress is a sweater that I actually started back in the beginning of the summer. Jana from Purl Together had a knit along going on for a Heidi Kermeyer sweater called After the Rain. And I actually signed up to be involved in that and just didn't get the sweater finished. I was really, really busy over the summer, but I definitely wanted to get it done. So I have picked this back up and have continued to knit on it. And I just split for the sleeves. Actually, this morning, with my 30 minutes of knitting, I split for the sleeves. Really, really liking this. This is being done out of yarn from A Girl and Her Wool. And really, really like this. So I'll link everything below so you'll have the pattern and the information. I don't know if I have a Ravelry, if my Ravelry page is updated for this or not, but if it isn't, I will update my Ravelry page. I'm trying to keep up and get a lot better about making sure that I start a Ravelry page for all my projects, put all the particulars in there, and that way I'll link those and you can go to that rather than trying to remember everything. And I do have notes for my podcast, so I will tend to look down at my notes periodically, but I don't always put everything down in my notes. So I will just make sure that I link to my project pages. And if there isn't a project page for it, I will link to the pattern and put, what yarn I'm using for that particular pattern. But really, really like this. I could see myself probably doing another one of these, maybe even 2 more of these. I think I'd like to do one just in plain, either black or a cream color, just to have. These are more of a casual sweater that you just throw on with a pair of jeans, some Chelsea boots, and kick around for Saturday, just running around, running errands. So super cozy and comfy, and I think is a really good staple for just your everyday jumping out, running some errands type of sweater. So check out this pattern. Super simple, but yeah, really, really liking that. Can't wait to show you my progress on that as I continue on. The one other whip that I do have on the needles right now that I'm not going to show you is my Lace and Fade Boxy by Joji Locatelli. I'm also taking part in that her fall cal, but I am not going to, I haven't done a lot on that since the last podcast, so I'm not going to show that. I'm in the mohair section right now, which I'm really, really liking. Just to touch a little bit on mohair. Mohair is not something that I had really knit with before that Lace and Fade. And then, of course, the mohair Ascot from Christy Archer Designs. I was always kind of like, afraid's probably not the right word, but just concerned about knitting with mohair and was it going to get tangled? was it going to rip apart if I pulled it a little? It's actually pretty strong yarn, and it just has such a great drape, and it just looks so nice coupled with like a fingering weight, or even there's some patterns out there that are worsted weight that have mohair that I'm really, really liking. I'm getting drawn to that. So I think you're going to see a lot more of my projects are going to include some mohair. So just be looking for that. Last podcast, I showed a sweater that was not bringing me joy. I talked about frogging, said I was going to look at something else to knit. Got lots of comments on frog it if I was not comfortable or it wasn't bringing me joy. And so after filming that podcast, I frogged it and started thinking about what am I going to put on the needles, and went to Ravelry, and I was drawn to the Felix. So I have put a Felix cardigan on the needles already. And even after getting started now, I really like it. So once I chose this, I was going through some podcasts that I wanted to watch, and Hand Needle Wools, I believe, is Taylor's podcast. Sorry. I think it's Hand Needle Wools. I'll list it below. But anyway, she is having a knit along, and it's for Felix, the Felix cardigan or pullover. It's a Felix knit along. So I decided to take part in that, and so I waited to cast on till October 1st because her cow started on the 1st of October. But I definitely have this on the needles and loving it so far. Haven't done a lot, but this, like I said, I'm doing the cardigan. Some are doing the pullover. Love, love, love this so far. It's just a simple, classic raglan cardigan. And a lot of people have done the Felix. This is not something new, but just getting cast on, but it's already bringing me so much joy. I love watching it grow. I will obviously share this on my podcast. I'll also share over on Instagram. In my stories, you'll see me share as the sweater begins to grow, but I'm really, really liking this. So I'm waiting on some new needles, which I will talk about in my segment on needles, but I am waiting on those needles. I think they should be here today so I can switch the needles to my the needles that I would prefer to be knitting this on. But I'm really, really loving this project. So it's worth it if you are knitting on something that's not bringing you joy. Go through Ravelry, look through Instagram, ask friends, frog something if it's not bringing you joy, and put something on the needles that you're going to enjoy knitting. I'm a firm believer of knitting something that brings you joy, you want to take out of the project bag and knit on. It's just so worth it. So that being said, I shared another sweater in the last podcast that I was knitting on called the Shining Falling Star. And I really, really liked it, but I knew there were mistakes in it, which was okay. But the more and more I looked at it, and I had gotten very far on the sweater. I had started down the sleeve, and the mistake in the color works were just driving me. Sorry, my neighbor's walking their dog. The mistakes in the color work were driving me nuts. It was just, so I looked at it. I went to bed, got up the next day, and I was like, you know what? I got to frog this one too. So I frogged not one, but two sweaters. Promptly put another sweater on the needles in this yarn. So I will pop a picture in of the sweater that I frogged, but I've barely started the new one, but this is it. And I'm just I just started the first, I think it's actually the first row in the chart of color work. Itty bitty little speckle of color work there. So this is in that same purple yarn. It was a Cloudborn. And then I am doing the contrast in a yarn that I just bought from a local dyer called I think it's Nerd String yarns. And this is Lips Like Sugar is the colorway. Of course, it's purple, but it's a lighter purple, and it has some kind of, I don't know, greeny yellow type speckles in it, and then darker purple speckles, but I think it'll really be great for this sweater. And this is a Jennifer Steingast sweater. It's called Silver Lining. I don't want to show anything, but that's kind of what the sweater looks like. I don't want to show that chart. This is a paid for pattern. I will pop a picture in of the this pattern as well, and then it'll all be linked below, and I have a project page for this pattern. But I'm really looking forward to getting the yoke of this sweater, started and finished. And we'll be sharing a lot more on that. But both these sweaters that I decided to cast on, frog and cast on the new sweaters, I'm loving so far. Absolutely loving. So first I was super, super upset when I started frogging the last sweater that I just showed you, the one that I've cast on the Jennifer Steingast, that yarn. I was a little bit upset when I started frogging it. And once I got the new sweater on the needles, I'm super happy that I did decide to frog that. So glad about that. And something that I think I forgot to mention in the beginning of the podcast, I have reached 100 subscribers. And I had talked about in the last podcast that I would have a giveaway once I reached 100 subscribers. So stay tuned. Towards the end, I will mention what I'm giving away. So you will be able to comment below to be entered into that giveaway. And then on my next podcast, I will announce the winner and get that item out to you. So just drinking tea today in my Yo Yarn Girl cup. So next, I am going to talk about needles. I talked about mentioning needles in my last, or I mentioned needles in my last podcast, and said that I would talk about the needles that I'm really enjoying using and am keeping now. It's just a regular staple in my needle repertoire. So these are the Lantern Moon needles. And I think really what I'm liking most about these, this is just a booklet that you get when you order those needles. You get this pamphlet and it goes over all their different types of needles, and they have a really nice array of things with their needles. So I started using these probably, I want to say at the beginning of the summer. I had gone to my local yarn shop, saw them and thought, oh, those are ebony needles. I would like to try those. But really what drew me to them are the cords. So I know a lot of people are fans of ChiaoGoo's because of the red lace cable, which I'm a fan of ChiaoGoo's. I do like those. And I do have a lot of needles that I've purchased over time in my knitting. And usually it's the cord that makes me put it aside. So I will post a picture in here of all the different needles that I have, but typically it's about the cord. If the cord tangles up in my knitting or it just isn't flexible enough, I am not going to be able to knit with that. So I will not, I'll just put it aside. I typically don't throw them away, but I will just put them aside. And sometimes I will have enough. I do have tons of whips. So if I need a particular size needle, I might use a needle that I don't love just to get started on it. And then when I get, when I free up a needle that I really like, then I will put that in that project. But I've ordered 2 sets of the Lantern Moon. One is a 5-inch, and I don't, unfortunately, because I've got so many projects going, I'm using a lot of these. But this is my 5-inch, comes in this case here. And you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. And they start out at a size 3. This is the size, this is a US 8 of the Lantern Moon needles. But this is an ebony needle, super slick. And I'm really, really enjoying knitting with these. And I have them in several different types of yarn. So I've got it in fingering weight. I've used it in a worsted. I'm actually using it in my mohair. I use it in the mohair Ascot, but I'm also using it in my lace and fade. So right now it's in the mohair with that. Love it. And here are the cords. These cords, for me, are the best, the closest thing to the red lace by Xiaogu. There's no memory in them. It's a really nice cable. So, I mean, not sponsored by them. Really, really liking the needles. Have ordered several other pairs. Actually, I've got some that are coming today. And if you have an opportunity and you're in the market for needles, it's worth trying. They have fixed and swivel cords. So these are swivel. The ones I just showed were fixed. But these cords, I'm going to tell you, by far, they definitely, to me, it's good competition for the Xiaogu needle, the red lace needle. So this came out of my Ascot, I believe. Is this my size 7? Because I think that's what I did the Ascot on. Yes, these are my size 7, but and this is the 5-inch tip. And then I just ordered another interchangeable set, which are 4-inch. It's a 4-inch set. So and I've already started using these as well. I've only used one from here, but this is the 4-inch set. And they come with needles, so you get both fixed, two fixed cords, and this is a smaller set because it is a 4-inch tip. So you get a small cord and then a little bit of a larger cord. And I want to say it's what will make a 16-inch and then a 24-inch cable or cord knitting set for that. And then this is, so those are my fixed, these are swivel. So they come with 4 cords, 2 swivel and 2 fixed. And one will give you a 16-inch with the 4, and the other one gives you a 24-inch with the 4-inch needles. So they also come with, they have their, I guess it's the screw to help twist it on, their twist, and then they have so you get these to tighten. It's the tightening tool to tighten the needle onto the cord, and then you get some cord ends, stoppers. So these are cord stoppers, and they're in wood. But really, really liking the Lantern Moon. I can't say enough good things about them. I think I get mine off of Etsy. I know that you can get them from Amazon, and I also have gotten them from my first set that I actually got from Jimmy Bean Wools. So I ordered those from Jimmy Bean Wools. This I ordered off of Etsy from an individual seller, I believe. And they also come with some really cute stitch markers. So they come with these stitch markers here. So really cute. If, like I said, if you're in the market for a needle and you would like to try something different, everyone has a preference of needles, so this is by no means plug to say go get these needles, stop using whatever you're using. It's a personal preference, but it's they come in these really cute kind of like a silk material case, but I think it's worth giving them a shot for the cords. Because they are super flexible, memory-free cords, and so far I'm really, really liking them. So that's that on the needles. Go check them out. Anyways, I want to go into my fall knitting plans with sweaters. I have decided that I am looking to add to my wardrobe for the fall and winter. I want to have a classic look for fall and winter. And with that, it's just classic but simple, like simple and elegant classic type looking sweaters. And of course, the first big names that come to mind are Petite Knits, Espace Tricot. They've got some really classic sweaters that would really fit into my wardrobe for what I'm looking for nicely. So I am looking to put the Classic by Espace Tricot on my needles. I am going to put on vest number 2, which is just a very simple V-neck vest that I can wear over a white Oxford or a purple Oxford or dress shirt that I would wear with maybe a wool pair of pants. I'm going to do the souffle, the scarf by Petite Knits. I want to do that. And I also want to put some very just classic wool socks on my needles to have in my wardrobe. So I am going to do the vintage Gate socks. And these are by Barbara Noelko, I believe she pronounced it. Knitting Love is who she is, but that's the sock. I don't want to, it's a paid for pattern, so I don't want to. But really, really like that. It has some detail eyelets on some basically lace on the back of it. And then the other one that I want that I've really, really started to like, and I want to say it's this Handmade Life. And she came out with a sock called the September Woods? Yes, September Woods. And hopefully you're seeing that the right way. But I really, really would like to knit these. So those are 2 pair of socks that I would like to add to my wardrobe for the fall and winter. And they're just classic looking to me. So I'm super excited about adding that stuff. And as I get things on the needles, I will definitely share either on my Instagram stories. You'll obviously see them on my podcast. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these classic things on my needles. So with that, I think we are ready to announce the giveaway. So I will be giving away this skein of Lolo Did It yarn. This is a sock weight it's a fingering weight yarn. And with that, I am going to be throwing in one of my bags, a Yo Yarn Girl canvas bag. So you will get this as the giveaway for my 100 subscribers. So what you will want to do is you will want to comment below just something that you like or have seen. And better yet, you know what? I want you to just comment below, sweater weather, I want it. Sweater weather, I want it. Comment that below if you want to be entered into the giveaway. Because some people may want to just comment and they're not interested in any fingering weight yarn. They're not interested in the bag. Totally okay. And this is gonna be limited to the US only. If you are an international viewer, because I do want you to be part of my giveaway, I will gift you a pattern good up to $10 value. So if you happen to be an international viewer and you would like to enter, same thing. Sweater weather, I want it. You can enter, but it would be for a pattern up to a $10 value. So there you have it. That's the giveaway. So super excited about my 100 subscribers. And, that's, I think, probably it for the knitting piece of the podcast. So if you are just here for the knitting, this is where you would probably be saying goodbye. I do want to mention some podcasts that I have been watching that, again, are bringing me joy. And one of them is Knitting Downsized. It's a woman who knits in a camper. I think she's got 4 episodes right now when I last checked. But I really, really like her podcast. It's just enjoyable. I don't know why my camera stops at a certain point. So podcasts I'm watching. Crea Bea. Love Crea Bea. She has a lot of really nice knitting that she shows, and then patterns and stuff that she shares. Mrs. Nitty Rogers is a newer podcast, and she's actually very, very new. Her name is Mariah. She lives in Anchorage, Alaska. And I think she has a little boy. He may have just turned 1 or 2. But she actually has a lot of knitting. She's been knitting, I think, since 2018, but she has a lot of knitting. She doesn't have many episodes out yet, but I know she's building on that. And again, she has a lot of really lovely knits. So check her out. And then the Pearls and Polish podcast I just came upon a couple of days ago. Really enjoyed her podcast. So check that one out. And I know she's getting close to her 100 subscribers. So check her out and give her a like. Give her a subscribe, and I'm sure that she would appreciate it. But those are some of the podcasts that I've been watching that are really bringing me joy. And, just check them out. You might like what you see. I don't have any, I really don't. I don't have any acquisitions, so we're not going to do acquisitions. I really thank you for spending time with me today. It's always enjoyable to be able to come on here, share my knits, share future knitting plans. I really enjoy watching podcasts as I'm knitting, so I hope that you enjoy watching what you see, and that you continue to come back. So again, like, subscribe, comment below, leave patterns that you're knitting on, anything that's classic, let me know. I'm super interested in that. Just want to have some classic pieces for my wardrobe going into the fall and winter. So until next time, happy knitting!